meeting here. I'm calling this meeting to order at 3:05. And I will start with the land acknowledgement. Before we begin, we believe it's important to open our meeting by acknowledging the indigenous land that we share. Pasadena City College is a learning community within the indigenous homelands of people who have been known as the Gabrielino Band of Mission Indians of the Shi'ikwanga Village and Quiche Nation. We acknowledge the painful history of genocide and forced removal from this land on which we gather. We honor all Indigenous people, past, present, and future, and their continued survival and contributions to our society. We also honor the legacy of the African diaspora and recognize that this country would not exist without the free and slave labor of Black people. We share these acknowledgements to raise awareness about histories that are too often erased or forgotten, to recognize our place in this history, and to affirm our commitment to social justice, systemic change, and anti-racism. Welcome everyone to our Academic Senate meeting. Okay. So, are there any public comment? Professor Walker.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed a hand. Professor Sheila Rose.
Yes, I would like to make a motion to make some adjustments to the agenda to remove item I-5 under new business, to add BP 5900 study load limitations to new business I-3, and to add the approval of Tracy Bodis to the academic adjunct faculty issues subcommittee under J1D.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, I see. Who was that seconded? I'm sorry.
Oh, it was me. It was
Okay.
Veronica.
So Veronica second.
I'm sorry, can I just clarify that I didn't understand what Sheila said about where we're assigning Tracy Bodis?
It is to item, and correct me if I'm wrong, Professor Rose, we are adding her to item J number 1, and we're creating a letter D to add her to that.
I'm sorry, which committee? Because she's already part of adjunct faculty, but we would
as
like
a co-chair.
No, we would like to add her as a an academic senate representative.
Okay. That is not, is that what you were looking for, Professor Rose?
No, I was not aware of that.
Okay.
I'm sorry, this is just an information so that was in the emails that I had exchanged with you since the very beginning, that she be added as the 5th adjunct rep to the academic senate, please.
Okay. Professor Rose, would you like to amend your
Yes,
motion?
yes. I'm just wondering, does it go in the same spot, J1D? It looks like it should, yes.
Those are academic subcommittees. So with that being said, I don't think we need to, we don't approve that. So I will talk to you after this, Dr. Bernardo, to let you to work out all the logistics. I don't think that goes through this committee.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Professor Francoso.
Can Professor Rose please repeat all of those amendments she wanted to make? Because I would like to hear them all before we vote on what the amendments were again.
Sure. So it was to make a change to new business I-3 to add BP 5900 on study load limitations as well as AP 5900. And then to remove the item under new business I-5, the safe learning environment recommendations, as Professor Kataris will not be attending the meeting.
Thank you. Did you have another question, Professor Francoso, Dr. Francoso? Okay, I'll lower your hand now. Okay, is there any discussion on this motion? We already have a second. Okay, if there are no, oh, I'm sorry, Professor Bernardo.
Hi, yes, can you tell me what, it's a BP that you're going to be talking about, as well as the AP 5900, there's a BP as well?
Yes, so the board policy as well as the administrative procedure are ready for a first read for the Senate.
It has to do with the same thing, or these are grouped topics?
Same topic. So the study load limitations, the board policy, and the administrative procedure, both 5900.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, if there are no more questions or discussion, I see Carmen Stevens here. Go ahead.
I have one quick question. So for the safe learning environment, first read, that one will have an opportunity to be brought back another week, correct?
If that is what the committee wants to do, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions, comments, discussion? Okay, if there are no objections to making the amendment to the agenda, we can approve it by unanimous consent. Are there any objections? Seeing none, we will amend the agenda. Professor Walker, can you please make those amendments? Thank you. Okay, also, Professor Walker, do we have any public comment?
Yes. Let's see. Is Shannon present? Shannon Maragi.
Yes,
Hi,
hello.
Shannon. You have 3 minutes for your public comment.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to sincerely thank the Academic Senate for having the courage to put on the agenda for today's meeting the discussion and consideration of a vote of no confidence in President Superintendent Erica Androjonis and the Board of Trustees. I've heard from many faculty, and the majority of those I've spoken to support a vote of no confidence, although many are understandably afraid to talk about it openly, afraid of retribution from administration, losing their jobs or teaching assignments, getting their hours cut, being passed over for future opportunities. For this reason, I ask the academic senators for each department, if you haven't already polled the faculty that you represent and whose will you carry out about whether they would support a vote of no confidence or not and why, please consider doing so and offer the option for people to answer anonymously. That way they can feel safe to be honest and you can know where they stand on this very important issue. A vote of no confidence by the Academic Senate would send a strong message that faculty have no confidence in Dr. Androjonis or the Board of Trustees to lead us safely through the next surge of the pandemic, to be transparent about their reasoning, to make data-driven decisions, or to engage in shared governance with stakeholders, students, staff, and faculty. We at PCC deserve better, and we can have better if we stand together, acknowledge that how we've been treated isn't okay, and declare our expectations that going forward, we want shared governance and to be listened to with compassion and treated with respect. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next we have Melissa Michelson.
Hi, thank you. This is something I emailed to all senators. I and many others were
Oh,
shocked.
just to remind you, Melissa, sorry, I just have to say this every time. You have 3 minutes. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. I and many others were shocked at your vote to discontinue the graphics program. Not only did you do so hastily, but you were misinformed and did not have data to inform your decision. The administration's task force and the CNI committee have not provided the college, the public, or you with data that warrants discontinuance of the graphics program. The process has been severely flawed. When the BAMS rep herself told you she hadn't been at the BAMS meeting and so didn't have enough information to cast a vote here, that should have been a major indicator for the rest of you not to proceed, in my opinion. As you know, the 10+1, which includes program discontinuance, falls under faculty purview and not initiated by an administrator. But the decision to dissolve graphics started with the BAMS dean. And furthermore, as it went through campus committees, they, like you, voted without having data, all based on a memo that before your meeting had not even been provided to you, not to mention the public. At your November meeting, one senator asked whether it involved the folks next to Pathways, to which the Senate president said, no, this is now graphic design. I hope by now you've all realized that it was indeed the folks next to Pathways. Also at your November meeting, the president has claimed that the vote was just a formality. That's also false. This is part of college policy, AP 4021, and each of you voted on whether to dissolve an entire program at PCC, firing faculty and hindering current and future students from reaching their goals. That's hardly a formality, and you shouldn't be expected to rubber stamp such consequential decisions. At your last meeting, there were 7 separate requests for data prior to voting, all of them ignored or belated promises made to get that information to you. But when? After your vote? There were also Brown Act violations at that meeting. Several of you asked to postpone the item, but the Senate president claimed the item could not be postponed. And then after 15 minutes of discussion, she cut off another senator and said that the person that had made the motion would have needed to withdraw her motion in order to even continue. But that was false. Once items are moved and seconded, they belong to the body and no one needs to withdraw their motion for you to extend time. On February 14th, I sent a cease and desist letter to the Dean of BAMS and VP Ramirez to halt further dismantling of the program, since much of the equipment, I believe, remains. To date, despite my numerous attempts, I have not gotten the data, and I hope that you have had better luck. There are also major differences between credit and non-credit graphics. I've sent you a link, but especially the biggest one to me is that non-credit consists of 2 very introductory 8-week classes, and it doesn't even include screen printing. Finally, I'd be remiss to say how disappointing I am in Senators Rose and Foster, who didn't provide any data to you. So please write this course of action as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next public comment is Chris Pilon. Is Chris here?
Hello, I'm here.
Hello, Chris. Just a reminder, you have 3 minutes.
Okay, thank you. I'm Chris Pilon, retired professor from Graphic Communications Technology. Senators may want to refer to the information I emailed them yesterday. I'm going to paraphrase that statement as it's quite long. Due to a violation of the Brown Act at the November 21 Senate meeting, the Senate revisited the dissolution of the graphics program at the February meeting, where additional Brown Act violations were committed. This is not going to look good on the college's next accreditation. In addition to this process for dissolution has not followed the college's own AP 4021 for dissolution of programs. This item has never appeared on the Senate agenda as required by AP 4021 under 3C. The matter of the program's possible discontinuance has been agendized and presented first to the Academic Senate Board as an information-only item. Senate representatives have shared the matter with their divisions, have solicited input from faculty, and have reported back to the Academic Senate Board. All interested parties have been given an opportunity to express their views on the matter at an Academic Senate Board meeting. There have been several other violations of that same AP. This kind of sloppiness really cannot be tolerated. In addition to the state law and college AP violations, there have been some important misstatements made. In February, at the last meeting, Sheila Rose declared that the graphics program as of 2012 had not had more than 2 or 3 certificates awarded over the last 5 years, with no evidence provided. This is false, as shown by the evidence I sent senators last night. Certificates were being awarded consistently. At the same meeting, Valerie Foster claimed that this program was too expensive for the college to fund and that the courses were obsolete. There was again no evidence provided to support this. The graphics program not only generated funds for the college through student lab fees, but we also had an endowment provided to us that gave us about $8,000 per year in funds, which we used for supplies and student scholarships. Where is the evidence that this program cost more than other similar programs? Where is the evidence of obsolescence? Since when does the Senate tolerate such apparent statements of fact with no evidence? Is it because of such incomplete, irresponsible, and false information that this program is being discontinued? Why has none of the data used to make the decision to dissolve this program been shared publicly? This dissolution process has been so seriously flawed that it should be redone from the beginning in full compliance with AP 4021 and with full adherence to Brown Act open meeting regulations. In the meantime, as the dissolution of the graphic communications program is invalid due to the Brown Act violations, the graphics course should be reopened until a legitimate decision is made about the program. Thank you.
Thank you. We have one last public comment from Catherine Chang. Is Catherine present? Okay, if not, I will read her statement. All right. Okay. I first heard about the graphics program ending. Sorry, I forgot to time myself. Let's start over. I first heard about the graphics program ending from a student last year. I asked him why. He said he didn't know and no one else knew. He was extremely saddened and disappointed because the classes were instrumental to his path in the arts, and had it not been for the program and the professors, he would not have had the confidence to keep pursuing his education. The decision to end this program is not clear to many of us in the PCC community. Why end this valuable program when it has served so many students successfully? If PCC prides itself on being an inclusive and equitable institution, why end a program that helps students with different educational needs? If PCC is hurting because of low enrollment, why end a program that was well attended? Please do not discontinue the graphics program. We need diversity in the program offerings at the college. We are a community college. Let's not forget it's our duty to serve a wide range of students, and we would be doing the community a great disservice by ending this program. Thank you, Catherine Chang. And that concludes comments. If I missed anyone, let me know. I don't think I did. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Walker. Okay. So now I'm looking for a motion to approve the minutes. Is there a motion to approve the minutes for last meeting? Margaret, I see you unmiked. Is that a motion?
Yes, I'll move.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Jose Castanon is a second. Okay. Okay, is there any discussion regarding the minutes? Okay. So we can approve those minutes if I don't have, by unanimous consent, if there are no objections. Seeing none, the minutes are approved by unanimous consent. Now we're going forth with our constituency report. PCCFA, I think I saw Mark here. Mark, are you here?
Yes.
There you go.
Here. Good
Hi, Mark.
afternoon. Nothing really to report, other than the fact that we are almost finalized our sunshine agreement that we will get to the district so that we can begin negotiating the next contract, which will hopefully run for the next 3 years. And that is about it.
Thank you for that. Adjunct faculty. Professor
Yes,
Bernardo.
hi.
you
Yes,
go.
hi, thank you. Before I begin, I would first like to say that owing to the fact that I did not get to speak during the discussion on the graphics program last meeting because the allotted time expired, and I would have moved to postpone the vote about the graphics discontinuance until more information could be provided to the Academic Senate. I'm giving notice that at the next meeting of the Academic Senate, I will move to rescind the adoption of the motion to discontinue the graphics program. There seems to be a lot of confusion, and I think it warrants further discussion and consideration. I furthermore now move that the Academic Senate ask the relevant administration in charge of discontinuing the graphics program to freeze any process or processes that will begin or have already been begun for the dissolution of the graphics program due to the Academic Senate discontinuance procedure occurring in what seems possibly to be an improper manner, according to AP 4021, or at least a confusing or contested manner, which requires further investigation and following proper procedure in order to be brought up formally to this body to be voted on to either discontinue or archive the program, whichever the motion should be at that time, if such a motion ever is made again. Can I have a second?
I'm sorry. I don't think you can call a motion from, you're supposed to be giving your report.
I'm sorry, can I have a point of parliamentary inquiry? It was before no other motion is on the table, and it's before I began with the report. Therefore, it seems like it's a limbo area.
Just a moment, please. I apologize for the delay. We don't have a parliamentarian with us now, but we are checking. So just a moment, please. Thank you for waiting. I actually talked to one of our former parliamentarians, and this is a report out, so it would need to be agendized for a later date. But no motion, you can't make a motion at this moment.
I'm sorry, to clarify, so when a report is being given, you're not allowed to make a motion? Do I have
Unless
that
it's
right?
been agendized. That's exactly what I'm being told. Unless
Okay,
it's been agendized.
If there is a motion that has to do with the adjunct faculty issues committee, I would not be able to make that unless I had put that on the agenda.
If it's supposed to be a vote, yes. A vote for the Academic Senate Board, yes. I know, I got that.
Okay, I'm sorry. Can you just tell me, please, who made this ruling?
This is according to Robert's Rules of Order.
Okay, so it's just through the Robert's rules.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, so I guess
I'm sorry, I take that back. That's Brown Act. I apologize.
It's Brown Act. Okay, so then I guess we will ignore that for now. Okay, so The Adjunct Faculty Issues Committee, we are requesting feedback to be put on the agenda for the next Academic Senate meeting for the rewrite of Section 3 of AP 7210, read the hiring committee and adjuncts being able to serve on that. So we would really like to know what the faculty feedback is once they have talked to their departments. It has been probably about a month now, and so we're requesting specific feedback so that we may consider that and figure out if we may be able to rewrite and reconsider this in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. And just for clarification, we actually need to give 72 hours advance notice if something's going to be on the agenda. So that's why you would need to let us know. Well, you've let us know, but let me know in writing and we'll put it on our next agenda.
Thank you.
Next, sorry, I was muted. So next we have the Classified Senate.
Hi, Dr. Gina Lopez. There's nothing to report from Classified Senate. Thanks so much.
Okay. Thank you so much. Associated Students.
Hello, we don't have any reports today.
Thank you so much for being here. Management Association. Is there someone here from Management Association? Okay, so moving on. To item number F, Academic Senate Officers Reports, starting with me. I'll keep my report brief. I'm not sure if everyone knows that the LA School District has lifted their mask mandate. I talked to the district and they said that that is not the case for us. According to our MOU, we will continue to mask up. Also, just to keep everyone in the loop, we've also talked to the district and let them know and know in certain terms that although regardless of what happens in certain spaces, we do not, the Academic Senate Executive Committee and the Academic Senate does not support faculty against faculty under any circumstances. So we still stand faculty strong. And that's as far as I have for my president's report. Next, do we have a vice president's report?
Yes. Can I share my screen?
Please do.
Okay. So I want to inform the Senate board that we, the Senate exec, voted to have Luis Lopez and Zachary Matthews as our representatives on the Hiring Manager Center of the Arts events. And the reason that we did this one was because only 2 people volunteered and the AP only gives us 5 days. So the Senate exec turned it around quickly. When we have more than that, then we'll bring it to the Senate board. So that's just reporting to you guys what we did. Just to know, I just sent out today that we need 1 faculty member to serve on the hiring committee for the flea market clerk in the foundation office. We're being asked for 1 committee member and they need to be outside of the vice presidential area of that college. And these are the tentative timelines that people would need to be available. If you are interested, please email me, Veronica Jaramillo. This is our report that we got from Facilities Standing Committee. The committee supported the request to allow Candace Jones to move formally look into 2 projects, Student Community Space and Family Resource Center. She is working with associate students to develop a student community space, and she is working to establish a Family Resource Center, likely in the former Ujima office in CC, for parents to obtain services when they have their children with them. She will write a formal recommendation once enough data has been gathered. Ultimately, the committee will vote on whether or not to make more formal recommendations for these projects that are forwarded to the College Council. And that was given to us by Sylvia Tabak. And then the last of my report was I wanted to just inform the Senate that at the last College Council, These APs and BPs were approved. So AP 4100, which was about graduation requirements for degrees and certificates. BP and AP 6100, which was delegation of authority. BP AP 6330, which is about purchasing, and BP and AP 6400, which is about audits. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Do we have a treasurer's report? I'm sorry, I take that back. Do we have a secretary's report? I apologize.
Yes, we do. Some of you requested more information about the incident that happened on campus in regards to February 4th, where a student entered the campus, made racial threats. This was all sent out also by an email sent by the president. And some of you were concerned about how that information was shared and the timeliness of that information. And so by request, we have invited Alex Bucklehide, if Alex is here, to share out the process of how emergency situations are shared throughout campus. Thank you, Alex.
Thank you. Just to clarify, the agenda item was later on. If you wanted me to speak at that point, Dr. Walker, or I could talk now, either way.
So what's going to happen is Alex is going to speak later. Thank you, Alex. Thank you, my team. And so as per your request, that's going to be discussed. Also, just wanted to remind everyone, because there were some last minute things going on. Remember, if you do want to make public comment, to let me know at acwalker@pasadena.edu if you would like to make public comment. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And that needs to be up to Professor Walker by 2:59, right before the meeting starts. Professor Endor, I see your hand up.
I think that, I don't know if I read it correctly, but I think I read saw Sylvia's last name incorrectly for the facilities committee. I'm not sure. I'm looking at it with old eyes, but her last name is Talaoc.
And where exactly are you at, Professor?
Was it from your power?
Yeah, I will make the correction. Sorry.
Okay. Thank you, Professor Endor. Okay, is there a treasurer's report?
There is. Let me share my screen. So I would just like to share the changes in our account balances. There is an increase of $224.93 in our business savings account, and our business checking account is static. So our total overall balance is currently $23,170.97. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we have our information items. Okay. Dr. Cynthia Oliva with the Student Services Update.
Hi, everyone. I have an update here, and I just wanted to share that tomorrow is our Historically Black Colleges and Universities Caravan. We have 21 HBCUs that will be here in the quad. We encourage you to please bring your classrooms. Many of the HBCUs will be conducting on-the-spot admissions, and we've worked with the PCC Foundation to obtain gift cards for Southwest Airlines so that we can do a drawing, and there will be many students who will receive gift cards so that they can fly and travel to see the HBCU of their choice. We're really excited about tomorrow, and we hope that you join us. And we appreciate the faculty who have mentioned they are going to bring their classrooms out to the quad tomorrow. We also have our first event for Women's History Month. That is launching on Thursday, March 3rd. We have one of our very own alumni. Her name is Lisa Rocha, and she operates a small business called Elements. as well as the Goddess Mercado Boutique and an open air market called the Goddess Mercado. So please help us out by promoting this event, and I'll send this slideshow to the Senate so that you can all receive a copy with the information you can share with students. And then we also wanted to make you aware that it's graduation season. So this is an email nudge that is going out to students to remind them that April 11th is the last day to apply for graduation for spring. This is the first of many emails the students will get reminding them to apply for graduation. And we also utilize the approach of sending text messages. Speaking of graduation season, mark your calendars. We have Black graduation set for April 22nd. Latina, Latino, and Latinx graduation is also set for April 29th. We have our Lavender graduation ceremony is set for April 28th at the Mirror Pools. And then also our API at Desi American graduation is also scheduled, and I'll have a flyer for that very soon. Wanted to let you all know that in our Lancer Care Center, we still have emergency aid available by application, and here's the link here. And then an update for our family. Oh, sorry, I wanted to say thank you to our faculty partners. In accounting, we have free tax preparation available for students in Lancer Care because of the faculty in accounting. I'm working with faculty in automotive to identify a shop in town for student emergency auto repair. The faculty and paralegal are identifying a community-based org to provide free legal support to students. The faculty in cosmetology have offered free haircuts. We also reached out to the laundry room down the street, and we'll be providing coins and detergent to students. We also will have clothing and transportation vouchers available, all in the Lancer Care Center located right here in the L building, opposite of where my office is. So that'll be L108. And then I wanted to introduce you all to Marisol Jara Garza. She is our new coordinator for our PCC Family Resource Center. Marisol might be familiar to some of you. She does work in the Children's Development Center. She has been with PCC 23 years. And 14 of those years, she has been an adjunct faculty member in children's development. And then also, you know, she is a graduate of PCC from our program, from our children development program, before she went on to Pacific Oaks College to get her bachelor's degree and her master's degree. And she was born here, raised here in Pasadena, very proud of PCC. And then I just wanted to make you aware that we are having an event to reach out to the API community, and that'll happen on Saturday, March 19th, as well as Thursday, March 24th. And both of these events are on Zoom, and we worked closely with the community. This was the preference for the format for the event. And that's my report. I think I saw a hand.
Yes, Professor Francoso.
Hi, thank you, Dr. Oliva. That's all really super dope and exciting news, especially the free legal support. I know Cora's been trying to secure that for a minute now, so thank you so much for that. Really quick, the HBCU event I'm sorry, I was going to say it too, is Wednesday instead of tomorrow.
Oh, sorry. Yes, you're right.
I just wanted to make sure we said that it's Wednesday.
Thank you. Thank you, Francoso. And any faculty members, if you have leads in the community, like the groups of faculty I mentioned, please connect to me, because whatever we can do to help our students, to bridge our students to support, is really appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Oliva. I actually went to school with Lisa Rocha. She's amazing. And Marisol helped me raise both of my children at the Child Development Center. She's amazing as well.
I see these are our alumni. Yeah.
I see another hand, Professor Redogon.
Yes, hi, thank you. I wanted to ask Dr. Cynthia Olivio if she can send us the copy of the presentation.
Yes, I will, for sure. Thank you, Sylvia.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions for Dr. Olivo? Okay, thank you again, Dr. Olivo. And now we have Dr. Laura Ramirez.
Hi, everyone. May I share my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so I have two or three things I want to talk about today. One is the request that we talked about last time about enrollment, as well as funding, and then a little bit on the discontinuance of the graphic design program, or graphic communications program, I should say. So as far as our student head count, so I went back and I looked back to fall 2017. And I disaggregated only by two groups, our Hispanic students, Black African American students, and then of course, students that did not report Hispanic or Black African American. And you can see that since 2017, and especially during the last couple of years, just across the board, our numbers have really fallen. Traditionally, our Hispanic student population hovers close to 14,000. And so now you can see we're just above 8,000 in the spring. And this is just head count. Our Black African American students, we've always had a very small number, but of course, with the pandemic, we've taken a big hit there as well. And then just our student population in general, spring 22, fall 21, we've taken a big hit with our head count. Enrollment, so this is the number of classes students enroll in. So on average, in the past, students enroll in about 3 classes per student. You can see, so the number of enrollments for our Hispanic students was above 40,000 in fall of 17. We took a little dip in the spring of 18, but kind of started inching back. And again, during the last year and a half, it's been really dismal for all our groups. And then I wanted to share what we look at on a daily basis when we're looking at our FTS. So I know we had a little bit of a conversation or talk last time about how the college generates revenue. And one way that we generate revenue is with FTS, which is the number of students enrolled at census. And so what we look at is, here are our primary terms, fall and spring. Then we have our intersessions, winter and summer. And then finally, our total for the year that we report and we get funded for. So for fall, for example, we have targets that are designed by division. So every division has a target FTS that they're trying to reach. And we're working at developing targets that make more sense for our divisions as we move forward. And then we have the actual FTS that was captured. So for fall, you can see our target was 10,469. We came in at 66, a little bit over 6,600. And then we have the prior year FTS for that term. So we can compare how we're doing based on the prior year. Currently for spring, our target is a little over 6,900. We're right as of today, or as of census, which was on the 25th of January or 24th, the day after, we were at 5,700. Prior year, we were at 77. Keep in mind that for spring, we still have some late start classes and positive attendance classes that haven't been calculated. So it'll go up a little bit. Not likely that we'll get to our target. And then we still have summer, right? So summer 22, we still have to look and see how much apportionment will generate there. And then annually, our target was 19,749. Our actual as of today is a little bit over 13,000. Prior year was a little over 20,000. So the next thing is, I wanted to take a little bit of time to talk about the funding model that community colleges with the new student-centered funding formula are now being implemented with, right? So if you recall years back, it was basically all access driven, right? How many students were in our seats at census? Other than that, there was no other accountability measures. And then the state started implementing and started having that conversation and dialogue with the legislator and with the field about, we're going to start looking at a different type of model. With that, we started not only looking at success, but we had things like the SSSP funds, or the SSSP dollars come down, right? The matriculation law, AB 705. We started looking at things like guided pathways and equity. And really the state requiring through the Vision for Success, right, for colleges to start looking at their data with respect to equity gaps, awards, and with that came eventually the student-centered funding formula. And that is based on not only enrollments, but also our completions and equity gaps, specifically in the financial area with students, right? Students that are on things like Cal Grants or BOG waivers, and how those students are succeeding in our institutions. So a little bit about attendance accounting, and I'm going to do a very broad scope of attendance accounting. There's basically 4 mechanisms by which we collect revenue based on just attendance. The first one is weekly, right? And that's the one that typically generates the most revenue for the institution. This is for classes that are credit, that are scheduled for the full semester. And in this case, we look at census data, hence those rosters are really important that we get those census rosters, and a term length multiplier. So how many students are enrolled in a class at census, how many hours that class meets per week, multiplied by the number of weeks, right? And we get a number. That's our FTS. Then we have daily classes. Those are short-term classes, our summer session, any intersession, classes that are not scheduled full term, that are still credit. And that again is based on the number of students. We still have a census date, but in this case, it's not based on the number of weeks, but the actual number of days the class meets. So it's not as profitable as weekly. Then we have what we call positive attendance. And this is typically for non-credit classes, tutoring, and it's basically how many hours were students participating in that class. You get apportionment that way. More recently, our distance education classes have changed, and this was highly due, I think, to the pandemic, where everyone transitioned to online. And so in the past, our online classes were only funded based on the number of units and students. And now we can use any of these methods on top, weekly, daily, and or positive attendance, even for non-credit courses for those distance ed classes. So if I have an online class that's scheduled for the full semester, regularly scheduled hours and days, or just a DE class, I can collect weekly attendance accounting for that. So it would be the same. So those
I'm sorry, Dr. Ramirez, you actually are out of time. I need someone to motion to extend the time for Dr. Ramirez.
Sorry.
So
Do I have a
moved.
motion? Okay, that was from Milan Ayers.
Yes.
Okay, do I have a second? I'm sorry, how long are you motioning to extend the time?
10 minutes,
You can go a max of 5.
5 minutes. I meant that's what
Okay. Is there a second?
A second.
And that was who? I can't see.
Sorry, Ken Simon.
Thank you, Ken. I appreciate that. Okay, is there any discussion on this? Okay.
Question.
The extension, on the extension? Okay, if not, and I don't see any, can you stop sharing for just a moment, Dr. Ramirez?
Sure.
Thank you. Okay. I see your hand up. Is this about the extension, Bevel?
No, it's just a question for Dr. Ramirez.
Okay, then give me just a moment. We're talking about the extension right now. If there are no objections, we can extend by 5 minutes by unanimous consent. Are there any objections? Bevel, I'm assuming that's not an objection. Thank you. Okay, Dr. Ramirez, you have 5 more minutes.
Did you have a question, Bevel? Would you like to ask now, or do you want to wait till the end?
Yeah, sure, I can ask it now.
Okay.
You know, I've been very passionate over the years about increasing our African-American student population. So I was just wanted to ask you, do we currently have like a plan in place? And because that's something I would love to work with the administration, any faculty members, in designing a concrete plan that we could work towards increasing our enrollment for the fall of 2022.
So I am working with some of the deans to create an enrollment management plan as well. I think the next step is, right now, the focus is just to really try and get students back into our classes, whether they're online or face-to-face. And I think moving forward, working with the Black Student Success Center would be a great way to start looking at how we can do some direct outreach and recruitment. So absolutely, I'll reach out to you when the time comes.
Yeah, because I know right now we have one full-time outreach coordinator. Would hiring a full-time African-American outreach coordinator, do you think that would help us get to the goal that we're looking at?
You know, I don't know. I think I would like to see what we're doing in outreach and recruitment to reach out to certain communities. I think that's the first thing, and see what the community wants from us.
Thank you.
Anthony?
Hi, Dr. Ramirez. Yes, you mentioned that we have around 8,000 Hispanic students. Just do you have the number for how many Black African-American students we have enrolled currently?
It's less, I believe it's hovering less than 1,000.
Less than 1,000? Thank you.
Dr. Bernardo?
Yes, hi. I just had a question about the outreach that Professor Constantine was talking about. And it seems like possibly Dr. Ramirez was saying that we're not sure what exactly is being done in terms of outreach. And I'm just trying to figure out, how is that possible? Because, don't we have a whole, division and department dedicated to diversity? Shouldn't this be something that Dr. Ramirez should know already, what it is that people are doing right now?
Yes, absolutely. I think there is work being done, especially out of our, first year experience program or dual enrollment program. I didn't come prepared with specific details on, what people are doing on a day-to-day basis, but I can do that at our next meeting.
Could I please follow up? Could you, I guess, ask someone to forward to the Academic Senate that information, as in who is actually doing the outreach and what kinds of things, and like on a day-to-day basis, who's in charge of this and who is doing that?
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay, so the student-centered funding formula is based on 3 prongs. One is our base allocation, which is specifically our enrollment. We have our equity allocation, which is based on looking at students that are disproportionately impacted, students on financial aid, and then our student success allocation. And that is based on the number of awards the college issues. So we get a certain number of a certain amount of funding in this percentage based on those values. And so for our traditional enrollment credit FTS, the funding rate is about $4,200. For non-credit, it's about $3,500. Special admits, which is, for example, our dual enrollment students, we get about $5,900. Our CDCP program, which is our non-credit career development program, is about $5,900. And then these are the other factors that are not considered enrollment. Our equity factor, those are students that are receiving some kind of financial aid. And then the type of awards that we are issuing, the number of awards. So as well as first completing English and math during their first year, college level English and math, we get a certain amount of points for that as well, which is then translated into funding. So the last thing I wanted to talk about was the discontinuance of the graphic communications program. So talk a little bit about what happened. So there was a division meeting and there was a recommendation made to myself with respect to the graphic program and what the labor market information was, the enrollments, and the awards that have been issued. So the data was, and I believe it was shared with this group before. As far as the labor market information for that particular program, the enrollments, we had fewer than, I believe, 4 students enrolled at the time. The dean reached out to the students to identify if they needed additional classes, different classes, if we can help them find classes for them to complete their awards if they were ready to or close to getting a certificate. During the last, well, before I go there, that recommendation was then forwarded to the Academic Senate to develop a task force based on the AP. The task force included myself, the president of the Academic Senate, the dean, dean of CTE. We do not have an associate dean of CTE, a faculty member from the division, a counselor, a student was invited, president of the Associated Students as well. We did not have a classified member there, as the program did not have any classified employees associated with it. The task force met, looked at the data, forwarded a recommendation to the CNI committee. The CNI committee made a recommendation as well to the group, voted on it, which then again went to the Senate board. The Council on Academic and Professional Matters looked at the motion as well and the recommendation, and then finally went to the Board of Trustees. Some of the data that was looked at was, again, the labor market information, which shows that for the graphic communications program, what the job employment what the employment outlook looks like based on the type of degree that was awarded. So non-degree award, post-secondary, a high school diploma or a bachelor's degree, what the forecast is through 2023, number of job openings that they're forecasting, and then what the hourly earnings are for those jobs. In addition to that, we looked at the number of awards that were issued, and these are transcribable awards. So please keep in mind that the awards that are looked at are the ones that are actually approved by the Chancellor's office. And we had 3 awards conferred since 2016. And that concludes that presentation.
Okay. Dr. Bernardo, you have a question? Okay.
Hi, thank you. I'm just wondering if where Dr. Ramirez's presentation is in the agenda, are we able to see that? It doesn't seem like it's attached. And on the agenda, it just said, talking about graphics program discontinuance. I didn't see the previous topics of FTES and enrollment and stuff like that. I'm sorry.
Okay,
this was the last meeting I was here to do a short presentation or to discuss.
Excuse me, Dr. Ramirez, let me answer that very clearly.
Sure.
This is an information item. She's given an update, and during her update, she doesn't have to have those handouts as part of her presentation, just like Dr. Oliva didn't have those as well. So it's an update and information item.
Okay, thank you. Can I ask that they be made available to us?
Dr. Ramirez?
Sure, I can forward them to you.
Thank you.
I'll forward them to you, Dr. Lopez.
And I'll forward them to the entire academic senate, Dr. Bernardo. Okay, Dr. Stevens, you had questions?
Okay, that might have kind of addressed my question. I wanted to know about the PowerPoint slide that gave us the data. And if we can see it again, but if you're gonna send it out to us, then I can see it when you send it out. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. Dr. Francoso.
Yeah, so the data that was shared regarding the graphics division, I think that's the first time we saw that. I don't remember seeing that prior to. So I just wanted to make sure that we all were aware of the fact that that is the first time we saw it. And if it's not the first time we saw it, I don't remember seeing it in any of the other board docs. Maybe someone can refresh my memory on what day that came out. Thank you.
Was that addressed? Sorry, go ahead.
Okay. I said, I think I need to go back and see if they were posted, but I think I did send them along the last time with the memos.
Are there any other questions for Dr. Ramirez? Okay, thank you, Dr. Ramirez, and we will move on to Armia Walker. Oh, Professor Endor, go ahead.
Did that question get answered that I had last week about what degree or what classes do give you a living wage? I know that when I left Cal, I went to Manhattan. And I got a job based on my 5th grade education because I learned to set type in the 5th grade when someone gave our school a press. And nothing I had done at Cal in my well-received degree got me a job. You kind of never know what's going to lead into making. And the 5th grade education really helped. I went into designing book covers and design and really could have used a screen printing class.
So I will say that the labor market data that we use is provided by the Centers of Excellence. And so that really shows not only what the living wage or what the wage would be with or without the degree, but also the percentage of jobs that are expected to be available in the future. And in this case, the labor market data shows that the number of jobs are actually decreasing.
Okay, and we're out of time. We have one more extension that can be made. Would someone like to make a motion? I see Jeff Hupp's hand up.
So moved.
How long of an extension?
5 minutes.
5 minutes? Is there a second? Carmen Stevens, I see your hand up as a second. Are there any discussion? Okay, if there is not, we can approve this by unanimous consent if there are no objections. And Jeff, I'm going to assume that is not an objection since you made the motion.
No.
Okay, then we are approved by unanimous consent for 5 more minutes. Thank you, Dr. Ramirez. Jeff, I saw your hand up.
Thank you. On the topic of labor market demand, I think it's important to talk about the fact that that's not a construct that we come up with here at PCC. That's what the Chancellor's Office in general uses, just so that we can all sort of have a common understanding. I don't think it's widely understood how some of these things work in terms of our state legislation and the way that things are determined as to whether programs can be transcriptable. So the living wage data comes from the labor market demand, and I think it comes from the Bureau of some government agency that tracks all this. And so just so that it doesn't seem arbitrary and that PCC is coming up with it on their own. And then related to that, we need to also understand that financial aid is only awarded to students who have a goal that is a transcriptable goal. So there are other types of certificates that are college awards, but those are not the transcripted programs. And those are also, it's important to connect financial aid awarding with those programs that can actually be transcripted, if that makes any sense. I just think it's important that we add all of those constructs into our understanding of this topic.
Thank you. That is correct. The other piece when we're talking about CTE programs is that our CTE programs are meant to go through a 2-year review process where we need to analyze whether the program is still viable based on labor market demand, future jobs, and also living wage, and then how many awards are being conferred on a regular basis.
I saw another hand. It's not there now. So if there are no other questions for Dr. Ramirez, Professor Endor, go ahead.
Yes, when I used to have a full-time design studio, I mentored students from San Diego State University. And I will tell you that there was a labor market statistics that said that there were tons of jobs in design. It was completely false. There were practically none. So I'm not sure we can trust that. If it said it was high and it was low, I don't know now that it's saying it's low, it could be high. These statistics are often nationwide and don't pertain to where one is.
Okay, go ahead, Dr. Laura.
I was going to say this is the graphic communications program, not the design program.
Okay, so we have Professor Rigon.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. I wanted to speak a little bit because last time I wasn't prepared to talk about why VAMs have voted in that way. And so I gathered more information, and a lot of it has been already explained by Dr. Ramirez, but it's very important to understand that there is a difference between CTE programs and general education programs, and the rules and regulations are different. And especially when you have a program that have all the courses that are not transferable, they're for credit, they give you credit, but they don't transfer. And they only are viable based on arguments that refer to the labor data information that we have. and they use a specific top code that is everything is public data that is then traceable and available. And I wanted to specify that these regulations come from Title V of California Code of Regulations, and programs have to be approved not only at our college, they have to be approved by consortia or community college before they land to the counselor office to have the final stamps. So it's a very strict, a very layered process. The other thing is that these programs need to be, the courses need to be updated every 2 years. So they're different from the other courses that are general education. You can have also courses that are both career and technical, and they're transferable at the same time, which then increase the chance for students to transfer those classes if they want to continue their education. Anyway, the problem was that these courses have not been updated for a long time, which means that the program needed to be represented again, and it was very hard to convince that the labor data will support this. And plus, we didn't have a faculty with expertise on these subjects that could make an argument that could go beyond the labor data information that we were presented with. So I think these programs could have been maybe if it had been updated according to the regulations, if it had been current with what we are required to do, there was less of argument of having to represent, because if it is a program is already presented and approved, it sustains itself, there is no need to reconsider it. I don't know if it makes sense. It needs to be compliant, basically, and it was hard for us faculty with to think about how we could make this program compliant without a full-time faculty that have the expertise in this matter. So Title V California Code of Regulation, also course approval handbook of California Community College. You can find this information.
Okay, thank you. We're actually out of time on this item. Sorry, Professor Wilbur, we were out of time a couple of minutes ago. Well, a minute ago, I should say. Perhaps we can revisit this at our next Academic Senate meeting. Are you willing to do that, Dr. Ramirez, to answer questions?
Sure, absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you.
You know, what I would like to do, if possible, I can go through the CTE program development process, do a short update. So
I think that would help. Thank you. Okay, so now we move on to rave alerts with Armia Walker.
Hello, everyone. Now at the appointed time, we will talk about rave alerts. As some of you requested to learn more about what happened, specifically about the events that occurred on February 4th. But in general, you wanted to know how the communications are sent out regarding an emergency on campus. And we have invited Alex Bucklehide to share out that process. So you're on, Alex.
Thank you. Glad to be here. Thanks for making the time, everyone. My name is Alex Bucklehide. I work in the Superintendent President's office, and I'm one of the people who works with campus police on the Rave Alert system. I'm going to start by going over briefly what Rave Alert is and how it works, and then we can talk a bit about the February 4th incident and how that played out through Rave. The Rave Alert system is an emergency communication system the college uses to let people know in urgent situations what's happening and how to stay safe. It's based on text messages and emails, among other communication methods, and it's an opt-in system. That means that people who want to receive these messages sign up to receive them. And then their information is stored in a system that when there is something to report or so there's an announcement to go out, they will receive information accordingly on their mobile device or on their email. It's also, I want to make sure everybody knows it's open to anyone in our community. You don't have to be a student or an employee to use this system. We have people who are local churches, local neighbors, other people who have signed up for this information. So it's something that anybody can give their information to and stay in touch. The way the system works is campus police is notified of a situation, and then there's a determination made that a rave alert needs to go out. At that point, we collaborate on the message, what the information needs to deliver, with an eye towards keeping it understandable and brief. There is a character limit on these messages, and so we try to keep it as succinct as possible, just to make sure we get the information out in the fastest way possible. That message is developed and then approved, and then we activate the system. What the system does is it takes that message and then identifies the database of recipients that will receive it, either through text message or through emails, and then sends that information out through mobile providers and email systems and all the other ways that people have their systems online to get this information. So the message starts with Rave, and it's created, and then it is spread out to all the different service providers that people have for their mobile devices and their email accounts and all of that. It's not intended for two-way communication. This is a one-way message that comes from the college out through these different organizations and through your systems like that. So that's an overview of how the system is built. On February 4th, I can just describe briefly what happened that day. There were, sorry, I'm pulling up my information here. At around 12:15 that day, the system was activated and a message was created. The campus police hit send on a message that went to about 3,400 text message recipients and about 23,600 email recipients. That message contained the news that there was an incident in the CA building and that it was being locked down and people should avoid the area. That message was sent over the course of about because of the way the system works, it takes time for that system to make it through all the different email providers and wireless providers. So it took some time for the message to hit people's phones. After the incident was resolved at about 12:50 that afternoon, a follow-up message was sent saying that the situation was clear and that the building was no longer under lockdown. And again, that message, the second message went to about 3,400 recipients, and the email recipients were about 23,600. That's basically a description of how the Rave system was used that day, and I'm happy to entertain any questions if people have them.
Are there any questions for Alex Bucklehide? I see hands. First is Anthony Francoso.
Hi, Alex.
Hi.
In regards to the Rave alert system, I was in a hiring committee and it was virtual, when someone went by the members of the committee who were remote on campus, telling them to barricade themselves literally in their offices, right? So they all got up, about 5 people all got up, ran to their doors, barricaded themselves, came back and told us, something's going on here. We have no idea what's happening, but something's happening. They're telling us to barricade. And then we didn't get a Rave alert for 20, maybe 30 minutes after that initial mentioning of being barricaded took place. And then what was even more like disheartening was hearing a week later that it was a racially motivated assault, and through an email. And we had, I mean, if we wouldn't have seen that email, we wouldn't have known that it was racially motivated, which would have been really important to know right then on Friday, just so that folks can be aware, especially folks of color, especially Black folks and African-American folks, that this is happening and it's racially charged. So to me, the kind of Rave alert system it needs to be updated, or information needs to go through that's a little bit more specific potentially. Because there's a lot of information that I firmly believe got left out and took way too long to get across the campus. So it's not necessarily a question, just more of a comment.
I appreciate that. Thank you. I can provide some additional context if it's helpful. The way that the Rave alert system is intended to be used, and I'm speaking specifically about the Rave alerts, is they're designed to be short messages communicating urgent information related to immediate safety issues. So if there's a building under lockdown, or if there's something happening on campus at that moment, that system is intended to let people know quickly so they can take immediate action, right? The information that you shared there and the circumstances from the 4th overlaps a bit with further communications that would be sent regarding the nature of the threat or the disposition of the situation. And I think it's important to remember how Rave Alert plays into the other communication systems the college uses to get that information out there. But I hear your comment and I take it to heart. Thank you.
Okay, so we're out of time on this, but we do have an extension, Brian Wilbur. So I need a motion to extend this by 5 minutes. I see your hand, Brian Wilbur. Is there a second?
I'll second Anthony or Dr.
Oops, thank you, Dr. Francoso. I don't know what happened. Anyway, so if there's no discussions or objections to this extension, we can approve it by unanimous consent. Seeing none, you have 5 more minutes, Alex. And Brian Wilbur, you're up.
I would further that exact point. It's for short communications for safety issues on campus. I have the exact number. It was 28 minutes between the first message that my colleagues were sharing amongst themselves that something was going on campus and we should barricade ourselves in the classrooms. And it was 28 minutes later that I finally heard from the RAVE system, which is to say that the RAVE system did not do its job. I would encourage greater efficiency of that program, regardless of how it filters through cell phone services. 28 minutes is too late, especially if there is somebody wandering around campus. Now, I had the good fortune of working from home that day, but nonetheless, I was still getting these messages on a Friday. If this were a Monday or Wednesday when campus is a little bit fuller or when anybody's there, I mean, I didn't have any skin in the game, but plenty of my colleagues did. The 28-minute delay is too long.
Thank you for that. I want to reiterate too, there's a lot to learn from what happened on February 4th. I don't want to diminish at all what happened to the people involved, and it was definitely a traumatic and terrifying experience, and we're very sympathetic to that. At the same time, I think there was a lot that happened that day that we can learn from and that we'll be able to improve going forward, including our emergency response system as a whole, looking at the structures of the college and how they work together and improving some areas there. So I take the comment to heart. Thanks.
Dr. Bernardo?
Hi, thank you. I'm not sure if you said this and I just didn't understand, or if this maybe wasn't clarified. Could you tell me exactly who is responsible for triggering this, the rave alert, like who makes the decision this needs to be an alert, and then they notify who does what, and etc.?
Sure, thank you. The decision rests with campus police. They're the emergency responders on campus. And so when they are presented with a situation that would dictate a rave alert, they integrate with folks in the president's office and integrate with me, for example, as a way of creating the message and understanding what it might say. And then campus police are the ones who activate it.
I'm sorry, can I follow up very quickly?
Yes.
Is there a designated person for this, or is it just anybody in the campus police who has seen anything, or does it go through the supervisor and the supervisor then? I'm just trying to find a direct route here of who does what.
I'm not familiar with their organizational structure, so I wouldn't be able to speak to that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, are there any other questions for Alex Bucklehigh? I see Mia Walker. I saw your hand. I'm sorry. Did I see your hand?
Yes. So
Sorry.
Did you want to go first, Anthony, or what? Okay. Just really quick to follow up with what you asked, Dr. Z. I'm going to put something in the chat. And basically, it's for anyone who wanted to know any details pertaining to any of the events that are sent out to the incidents, sorry, not events, incidents that are sent out to campus. There's more detail there. Now, mind you, this is after the fact, so it's not like necessarily in the moment. There's in the moment, and then there is follow-up. So just to give you some, if you wanted more detail. And I think Anthony.
Hey, Dr. Francoso.
Hi, sorry, my son's Yeah, just really quick, if Alex wouldn't mind coming back and letting us know kind of what fixes or kind of what the ramifications and relationship to changes are going to take place with the Rave Alert, how it's going to be improved, how they're going to move forward on it, just so we have knowledge about what the next steps will be for that process.
I don't know if it'll be me or not, but I think it's important to stay involved with the Academic Senate about this process. So absolutely, we will stay in touch and provide further updates as they're made. Thanks.
Okay, Carmen Stevens.
Hi, can you all hear me okay?
Yep.
Awesome. So thank you for coming here to speak on this. I definitely think there needs to be updates to the Rave Alert. As my colleagues have shared, a lot of us got the messages pretty late after. I also wanted to speak to the cultural issue with this, and this might not be the best time, but I feel like this is the best time for me to share it. It was an attack on Black people on our campus, not in the community, not in the state, not in the country, not somewhere else. And so I would just like to thank the college for sending out the email that they sent out with some of the resources, but I would also like to ask us as a group to do more to address that, because a lot of that is triggers for the community. And I just feel like as a whole, we need to be really aware of what's happening on our campus and what people are suffering through on our campus. Because again, this did not happen in the state, in the country, even another country. This happened in our yard, in our house. So I just really wanted to stress that. Thank you so much.
Okay, so thank you, Alex, for coming and sharing, and we'll look forward to a follow-up as soon as you get more information. And I want to hurry up and get Jared in. I know he has to go. Thank you for your patience, Jared. You are up.
Thanks. So this is the Elections and Nominations Committee report, and just wanted to update everybody on the nominations. So we do have 5 nominations total. Dr. Gina Lopez will be nominated for president. Dr. Veronica Jaramillo is nominated for vice president. Dr. Sheila Rose is nominated for treasurer. And then I want to make sure I get the last 2 right. Dr. Armia Walker is nominated for secretary, and also Dr. Akila Brown is also nominated for secretary. So the only other matter is, does anyone want to nominate anybody for the Academic Senate from the floor?
Dr. Bernardo, I see your hand up.
I'm sorry, yes, this is not a nomination, so I'll defer if anybody has nominations.
Thank you.
All right, so any questions, Dr. Bernardo?
Yes, hi. It's my understanding, or I guess somebody told me and I'm not sure. Is it only full-time faculty who can vote in these elections for Academic Senate board? Because I looked in the bylaws and it doesn't say that adjunct faculty are excluded from voting. So can someone please clarify that for me?
I mean, it is a bylaws committee thing, but yeah, from what I know, it's all full-time faculty, tenured faculty that can vote.
Can I ask a follow-up that someone look into that? I don't know if it's
I will look into that.
Okay,
I will look into that. And I'll get back to you by our next meeting. Actually, not even by, I'll send out an email.
All right, cool. And thanks everyone that's nominated yourself, and thanks for the Academic Senate this year for all the work that you've done. I mean, we do all appreciate it on campus. And just the last thing, platform statements are due Wednesday, March 2nd for this coming Academic Senate election, and we'll distribute the platform statements on Friday, March 4th. And the voting will begin March 14th, Monday, March 14th. So any last questions?
Thank you again, Jared, for your patience. I know you have to go be with your family. We appreciate you for being here. Thank you.
Everyone have a good day. Bye.
Okay, so our last information item is from Professor Seropian. It's our PRT update.
Hi, everybody. I promise this one will be quick so we can get to new business. I think, can I share my screen really quickly? Yes. Thank you very much. Have a 5-slide presentation. We're all good. We can see this. So I just want to give you a recap of probably the highlight of my 2021 school year or 2021 calendar year, which was Season of Giving, which I do know some of you in this room participated. And the reason why it was such a great event is because PCC's campus came together, collected 4,000 donated items of canned goods, and 250 students were served with full holiday dinner packages, and that was really exciting. Full dinners, and we couldn't have done it without the Lancer Care Pantry. So shout out Carmen Stevens and her team, as well as everybody else who participated. And these were just some of the cool pictures, because pictures are fun, and it was just nice to see each other, as well as do things that were fun, collaborative. Like there was a lot of 80s music playing in the background, things like that. So I do hope that whoever was there, Sylvia, I think that's you, right? So I do hope that whoever was there enjoyed themselves, and that we get even more participation, because, I'll give you one more thing that's happening right now, and then I'll let you know the ... to that, because we also just launched our first of 3 reading circles, and these are led by 2 amazing librarians, Lena Hicks and Catherine McGuire. And the book in question is Your Best Thing, and it's edited by Tarana Burke and Brene Brown. We received feedback that it was really, really, really well done. Participants really felt safe and had really incredible conversations. And we have 2 more coming up on March 24th and another one on April 1st. April 1st right now is capped, but we still have some more room on the March 24th. So if you or any of your colleagues would like to participate, please email me, and I could put my email in the chat later. It will be on a first come, first serve, and you will be able to pick up your book bundle, which comes with the actual text, as well as like a notebook and a pen, and you'll get directions on what are the 6 essays that we're focusing on, although we encourage you to participate in more. But anyway, really awesome. So I do hope you consider that as well. And because ... that came out of Season of Giving is what's coming up next within the months of March and early April. It'll be called PCC Tied Together, and the tie-dye theme is very intentional. It's not just something there. And again, I'm going to go give it back to Carmen Stevens. She's probably one of the most creative people I know. So she came up with the tie-dye idea, and then David Steinman came up with Tied Together. So it's really like a group process. Rather than being a clothing drive, a food drive, it'll be a clothing drive. And so we're going to be reaching out to students who will submit requests of what they would want. It's, even clothing insecurity is very real in our students, or students definitely, and their families as well. So they'll be able to ask for what size they want, what type of clothing they want, and we'll be collecting as a campus, and then we'll need help sorting and creating our closet of sorts, and then stuffing, which is more the fun event of for employees, and then the distribution. So keep an eye out for lots of emails coming about where you can participate in 1, 2, 3, or all of these processes, and how we can help serve our students best and come together and have a little bit of fun along the way. And last but not least, this is definitely something I want you to share with everybody. We will be launching our 2022 climate survey. And this survey is also done with Dr. Carrie Bolin in her office. So it's really including many different pieces of your experience at PCC as an employee. There will be different tracks for this climate survey depending on how you identify, whether you are a faculty member, a classified staff member, a manager, and I do believe we have a student track as well. Actually, no, not I do believe, I know we do. And, this is your opportunity to voice your thoughts and your opinions. And we all know that a lot of us have a lot of thoughts and opinions. So this is the time to put your words into a form. Now, this is something that I also want to do, and this is something that I advocated for because I've heard it a lot. Many times surveys are done internally, and a fear of employees is that they don't want to be identified, right? Because while confidentiality has been stated, has been guaranteed, anonymity hasn't. Well, in this case, anonymity is guaranteed. And the reason why is that we're actually working with an outside vendor. It's not going to be done in-house. It will be conducted by an outside vendor, so that you feel confident that your anonymity is there. And there will even be a piece where you can participate in an opportunity drawing. And even in that case, the only way that we would know if you want to participate is if you submit yet a secondary form, not the one where that's connected to your actual submission. So that was just something that I really wanted to indicate as you encourage all of your colleagues on this campus to do that. And that should launch towards the end of March, and there will be about a 2-week window for you to participate. Let's make our voices heard and have this the highest submitted climate survey we have ever had. And if you ever want to see former climate surveys, those are posted on, I think, the College Council website, or definitely our PCC website. And that's it for updates. If anyone has any questions, I'm here.
Can you stop sharing your screen, please? Are there any questions for Senator Soropian? Thank you, T. We appreciate you. Okay, and we have no old business, so we're going to move on to new business. And Sharon will talk to us about AP 4220, Standards of Scholarship. This is our first read.
And thank you, Gina. Will someone be sharing the screen, or do you want me to share the item on the screen?
Can you please share the item?
Sure.
Thank you.
So when a course outline is updated, faculty have the opportunity to add information about the type of grading that occurs in the course outline. And so that then brought a discussion before the C&I committee to look at our Standards of Scholarship, AP. And in 2016, the Board of Governors approved a change to Title V that allowed non-credit to have an additional standard for grading, which was called SP, which is satisfactory progress towards completion of the course. So right now, just a little history about this is that in credit, a student can get a letter grade or they can get a grade of pass, no pass, but typically no pass means that they've received a D or an F. In non-credit, if the non-credit curriculum, most of the time outside of the high school diploma, the grades are given either pass or no pass, that a no pass is a negative grade to the student if they have not completed all of the course outcomes. So there was discussion since 2009 up through 2016 when the SP grade was finally approved by the Board of Governors, but we have not adopted it yet as one of our standards of scholarship. So in discussion on the C&I committee, we thought it would be great that that could be an opportunity for our non-credit students to show satisfactory progress so far in their completion of the course outcomes. And what an SP grade would do for them is it shows, yes, they've made progress so far. Maybe they haven't completed all the outcomes, but it's not the same feeling as if they were to receive an NP. Currently, right now in non-credit, some of the non-credit faculty use a grade of IP that shows it's an incomplete and that the grade is in progress and then needs to be changed in the future. So one of the main changes that we made to this AP was to include the grade of SP as an option for a non-credit course grade. So a student could receive a pass or a satisfactory progress, SP, and then if they did not achieve those outcomes, it would be an NP. We also reorganized the AP to put all the evaluative symbols, which are A through F, and then P, NP, SP under one area, and all the non-evaluative symbols in another area. And that follows Title V, Section 55203, 55203. In addition to that, we made a note here about what a D grade means for a student, in that a D can be included towards their units and transfer, but it's not considered to be satisfactory towards a prerequisite grade or in the student's major. So added that clarification. And then some additional language that was not included in our AP that is in Title V was added just to complete the document. So in the agenda for today, there's a summary of the changes that were made to the AP, and I'm just summarizing them for you. And a couple of the other changes that we added was item 3. There are some non-credit courses that do not receive a grade, and they are considered ungraded. So we thought it would be important to just add that little bit of information in here, that there are times when there are types of courses that are not part of a program, but the faculty do not assign a grade for the students. They do keep track of their attendance, but they don't get a pass or a no pass. Typically, these are our older adult courses and then parenting courses. And then we added item 4, which indicates when a student could file a petition to change their letter grade to a pass or no pass. And we're just referencing the information in Title V. So that's a summary of the changes. And as I mentioned, that there are 2 documents in the agenda today, one with this Word document and then one with just a summary of the changes. I'll stop sharing.
Okay, are there any?
Talene?
Talene.
Sharon.
Hi.
I have one quick update or question. It actually has to do with the transcript of records piece of the AP. So point 1 indicates at the request of a student and in the absence of any outstanding financial obligation to the college. So I would like to request that that piece be taken out because in 2019, California passed AB 1313, which now where campuses in the state of California cannot hold a student responsible for outstanding debt, so we cannot hold a transcript hostage, basically. So I would hope that we can remove that, just that in the absence of any outstanding financial obligation, because we can't hold the record.
Can I ask a point of clarification?
Yep.
Where exactly are you mentioning? Is it under acceptance of transfer credit?
No, it's under, I'm so sorry, of course I just knocked it out. Transcripts of records. So it's on the 4th page of the AP. So it's transcripts of records, point 1. And if you want to refer to the bill in it, I can give you a link to it. But yeah, it's AP 1313, chapter 518.
Okay, I'll take a look at that. Thank you.
You're welcome. Awesome for our students.
Okay, Professor Rose.
Thank you. Thank you, Sharon, for bringing this to us. So the Student Success Committee and the Academic Senate have adopted equity guiding questions for policy revision and creation. And one of the components of that is making sure that the language of any policies that impact students is student friendly. And so I'm wondering if C&I would be open to allowing the Student Success Committee policy subcommittee to take a look at the language just to make sure that it passes that definition. And we do have students on that subcommittee who help us to make decisions about what kind of language to be in the policy. And of course, we're working with Crystal Cole-Russ's office to make sure it's in alignment with education code.
I think that would be fine. Who would be the point of contact?
Me.
Thanks, Sheila.
Thank you, Sharon.
Okay, are there any other questions or comments about this first read? Okay, thank you, Sharon, so much for being here. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have Veronica Jaramillo with AP 6530.
I had asked to put this on because it came to College Council. It was supposed to be spread out to all of our substituent groups, but I thought we were inviting the person who wrote this because I didn't write this.
So we can table this for another time.
Yeah.
But I think we need a motion for that. Brian Wilbur?
I have a question first. I don't know if that's appropriate. Maybe I can make it a point of order, I guess.
Mhm.
Are we looking for Senate approval of this AP? Because my understanding is this is already the policy that has been put into practice and our feedback on it matters not. And Veronica, I'm sort of play acting this with you. You might have the answer to that. I know that we've discussed this separately, but can I have you help me out with that for everybody else?
So at College Council, at the last College Council, this was introduced. It's the first time our campus will have a policy on the use of district vehicles. So this is not the field trip policy. This is a policy for use of district vehicles, which the campus has never had before. So we were asked to bring it to constituency groups because it's the first time that our campus will have this. So it is a very important one to look at and to go over, especially for those of us that it would impact with field trips and things like that. So, I had hoped that we were inviting the person who wrote this, or Crystal, so that they could go over it's new, so not changes, but what was going on with this.
And again, Veronica, why does it matter? Because what we have to say doesn't matter because the policy is already being enacted. And again, you know, I've
Well,
talked about
this is the policy of the driving of the vehicles, not the policy on field trips. So you're talking about trips, and this is a policy on vehicles, right? So who can drive vehicles? So they're not yes, they lead to the same thing, but they're not the same thing. They are slightly separate.
Well, I'm
So
glad
this
to
is
see that our
policy,
feedback things seeked out. I'll mute.
So I guess I motion to table this till we can get the person who put it together to present it.
I second the motion.
Dr. Lopez, I think you're muted.
I went on a whole speech. Thank you, Anna. I appreciate it. What I was saying was, if there are no objections, we can approve this by unanimous consent. Seeing none, we will table this for our next meeting. And I am told that Darlene Inda is who we want to invite. Okay. Thank you so much. So we'll move on to our next item, which is BP AP 5900, and that is Sheila Rose.
Thank you so much. So as I was mentioning in response to Sharon, there is a subcommittee of the Student Success Committee that is dedicated to reviewing all of our student-facing policies using our equity-minded guiding questions for policy revision and creation. And we most recently have revised our board policy on study load limitations. Remember that board policies are big overarching language, so we don't get into any specifics. And really the changes that we have made here are just standardizing the language that we're used. So instead of using Pasadena area community college, we're using the language of the district. We also make sure that we don't use any language that is open to interpretation. So things like appropriate, quality learning environment, we are leaving out. So any questions about the board policy? And then I'll be presenting the administrative procedure in a minute, which will get more into the details of how this will actually happen.
Okay, Veronica?
Yes, so I know it was changed that the superintendent president will develop procedures, and I understand that she's in charge of, or they are in charge of ensuring that board policies are being applied. But when I read this, I feel like we're giving the ultimate development to them. So I actually like college better there.
That is language that is prescribed by the Community College League, and that is standard across all of our board policies. So I can bring that question back to Crystal Colross, who receives those recommendations from the Community College League, and see if there is any wiggle room, Veronica, and then I can report back about that. But so with all the policies that we've been looking at, it's been that language. So let me find out.
Okay, Dr. Foster?
I guess I just had a question about the term reasonable, because that in STEM, for instance, 15 units is not the same as in humanities. So that's the only part that bothers me. Maybe that'll be addressed in the AP.
there are not, to my recollection, any distinctions based on discipline about the number of units that can be taken. And I'm not sure if that's something that is, possible to be decided differently based on discipline. But again, I can ask.
Thank you.
Okay, are there any other questions or comments about this first read of the BP? Okay, Sheila, we're ready for the AP.
Thank you. Okay, and I believe my subcommittee co-member, Miriam Altunji, is here. So please, if I am misremembering or if there's anything additional that you can add, please feel free to jump in, Miriam. So we removed some of the language about students being expected to carry 15 units for normal progress. We know that 12 units is full-time and that it is often unreasonable for our students, who most of whom work, to be carrying 15 units. So we decided to take out that language. Previously, we had a maximum of 19.5, and often students were having to petition to get up to 20. So rather than having that be an issue, we just changed the number to the whole number of 20. Again, it was 9.5 units for summer and winter, or winter. We're leaving that language in there for now, but we should probably remove the or winter. And the 15 units for dual or concurrent enrollment students, which are our high school students, that 15 units is part of education code that it allows them to take. And then we removed this information about basic skills units, because in the world of AB 705, we have eliminated most of these basic skills courses, and then minimum load is covered in other areas, in other board policies. So any questions?
Okay, I see. Can you stop sharing for just a minute, Sheila?
Yes,
I'm
of
sorry.
course.
Thank you. Okay, so I see Talene.
Hi, me again. I have a couple of questions, recommendations, and this is from counselors. So first thing, we're hoping that the maximum of 10 units for summer be increased to 11 units. While it is only 1 unit, it can make a world of difference, because in this new world of extended summer, where there could be 2 start dates and the different numbers of units, for example, if a student wants to take a calculus class in one of the sessions, that's 5 units, and then 2 courses like, let's say, speech 1 and I get Area 3A course, that's automatically 6 units, 11 total. That would require a student to then have to bombard admissions and records to then just do 1 unit increase. So that would save, I think, students a lot of trouble, as well as admissions and records, for just 1 unit. So that would be one proposal. The second proposal would be to also increase the fall or spring term from 20 units to 21 units. It is just 1 unit, for one of the reasons to also help admissions and records not have to process petitions for that. Yes, you might be thinking, whoa, 21 units is a lot of units. I don't disagree. However, let's be real. There are students who do that, and we can eliminate 1 barrier. Another reason could be that many students tend to take courses that are within the first 8 weeks and the second 8 weeks. So while it may seem like they potentially are taking 7 courses at once, they're not. And that works for their schedules, especially with asynchronous courses. They're able to do that. All of this also can help with the systems and banner, where things are done in a batch manner rather than 1 by 1. There are patches that need to be done that can take Lancer Point down. There's just a lot of things that can be alleviated if we just consider increasing by 1 unit. The end.
Thank you.
Dr. Veronica?
Hi, so I just, reading that first sentence, I thought it would be clearer if it was like students are considered full-time during this semester. They are enrolled in 12 or more units. Because when I first read it, I thought like you could read that you're full-time as long as you take 12 units one of the semesters. But I think it's like you're taking 12 units during the semester, right? And then the other thing was the 10 units in the summer, that is going for the multiple summers then. For the 2 summer sessions, the maximum that they could take is 10 units.
Yes.
Okay. And then for the 16 units for work experience, it came to 16 instead of 35 in E. Where did that number come from?
Okay, so it used to be 16.3 because we had a lab class for the writing center that was 0.3, but those are not, we're not allowed to have classes with that number. So we just made it 16.5 because half a unit is the smallest unit load allowable for a class.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Jeffa?
Hi there. I was a couple comments. So the area 1A or item 1A, I think it might be clear if you can scroll up a little. If we talk about it in terms of some primary terms, so they're enrolled in 12 or more units in the primary terms of fall and or spring. This might make students feel like they I don't know, I just thought that might be more clear, but it's not a big deal. My other comment was to really further what Talene said. I agree with what she was saying. And, but then I have a question about if a student wanted to take more than 11. Originally, when the calendar was changed, the understanding was that we were going to have 2 summer terms. And now we understand that it's really the same term with different parts to it. And so I think we're going to have many students who are hoping to take 2 classes in each part of the summer. So many students are going to be wishing to take a total of 12 units in the summer. And I wonder if that's going to be a possibility. And if so, maybe we should even up it from 10 or 11 to 12 total units. You know, this is sort of the ramifications of canceling winter. And I know that's a calendar committee topic. However, hopefully we can help our students out so they can still progress as much or as fast as they had hoped by allowing them to take 2 classes in each of the parts of summer.
Okay, thank you, Jeff. I think that we can follow up with ITS and find out if we're able to work within Banner in order to create separate terms. So yes, I'll take that back to the committee and follow up with that. Thank you.
Okay, Talene?
I'd like to retract my 11 unit and totally say what Josh said to 12 because I raised my hand to say the same thing and then he said it first. So I'd like to take that back. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for unsharing your screen. Are there any other questions for Sheila Rose? Sharon, is this a question or clarification?
This is a question.
From what we've been told, only voting members get to ask. Well, we're not voting. We're not voting on this. So I think it's different. Yes, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So on the curriculum side, just to explain this a little bit, whenever we talk about compressed calendars, when we look at classes, it's really important to consider it's not only the in-class hours, but it's the outside of class hours that needs to be considered when we're talking about compressing the courses. So just for the example that you pointed out, and that was, Talene, when you said 11 units. So when a student takes a 5-unit class, that's 90 hours in class, and that's double the amount, which is homework. So that's another 180 hours outside of class for that time. And if they're going to take 6 semester units, that would be 108 hours in class plus the 216 outside. So you're talking about a total of 594 hours divided by 2 6-week sessions of 12 weeks. That's 49 hours a week.
Oh, I know.
Okay, I'm just, I mean, when you increase that for another amount, I'm just pointing out that it's important to consider the outside of class time as well.
I agree, and that discussion is had always with students, but students are also being told by their faculty members, if you don't take this class in the summer, I mean, there's a lot in that question. So the reality is it's happening. We're just thinking of eliminating a barrier, which is submitting requests. I don't disagree with you, Sharon, and many of you I know had this like concerned look. I agree. That conversation's having always, and I do the math with them as well. But it is a reality. So that's the only reason why we're bringing it up.
Okay, any other questions for Sheila Rose? Okay, remember this is our first read and we will come back to our next Senate meeting with the second read or when you're available to make those corrections. Sheila?
Great.
Okay, so now we'll go on to item number 4, which is resolution, vote of no confidence. This is our first read and this will be brought to us by Dr. Bernardo.
Hi, thank you. I'm just trying to figure out if people have, yes, okay, it was distributed with the agenda. So if I can share screen. Okay. This is the text of a resolution of a vote of no confidence in Pasadena City College's Superintendent President, Erica Andrew-Jonas, and its Board of Trustees. We have several whereases and several resolves. So I would just like to read the document unless anybody has an objection to that. Has everybody had time to review it? No. Okay. I'm sorry.
Okay, so because the senators have had time to read it, at this point, what we can do is ask for if there's questions, if they need clarification on anything.
Yes, certainly. So are there any questions or are there any suggestions for amendment of language or changing language?
Can you stop sharing the screen just for a moment? Thank you. Okay, so I'm not seeing any hands or any questions. So, oh, I'm sorry, Sheila Rose.
I just had one question. So when I look at the statewide academic senate's position on votes of no confidence, I see here that it states that they recommend that an academic senate should generally take the step of a vote of no confidence only when all other mechanisms of communication have failed. And so I'm wondering what other mechanisms of communication have been pursued prior to taking what's often referred to as the nuclear option, which is a vote of no confidence.
Well, as a member of the PCC community, I would think that everybody would be, including Sheila Rose, would be privy to the attempts at communication with the district, the administration, and the Board of Trustees. There were 6 public comments to the Board of Trustees in their last regular meeting, saying that they approved of or would support a vote of no confidence because of the way that Dr. Andrew-Jonas has handled the COVID situation recently. And FA has also reported that they have tried to reason with, negotiate with the district and the administration on figuring out an alternative to basically the mandate by Dr. Andrew-Jonas to just return fully to in-person instruction on January 24th. And there was given no reason, and there was given no, they refused to negotiate, basically. And it was a push by the FA to get them back to the negotiation table because they refused to negotiate. They decided to, they announced that they would file an unfair labor charge against the district for refusing to negotiate on this. So I believe that there have been numerous attempts at communicating with the district, with the administration about how the faculty feels. There were several polls going around, formal polls by FA, informal polls by the surrounding faculty members. And I don't see that it has been, I don't see that there was any attempt by the district to listen or engage in communication.
Dr. Lopez, may I make a follow-up comment?
Yes. Yes.
I think, Dr. Bernardo, what concerns me is specifically that you're referring to labor issues and negotiations and the faculty association about the return to campus, which leads me to believe that this is not in the purview of the academic senate, that this is actually a working condition and therefore should be brought through the faculty association if it is pursued.
Right. So in my document, which everybody should have had a chance to review, and it seems like it was there on time, we list exactly which items under the 10+1 that this falls into, that each different offense falls into, and what it is that this vote of no confidence is attempting to address that was failed because of the policies of Dr. Andrew Jonas, which were green-lighted by the Board of Trustees.
Okay, before I take other questions, we have reached our 5-minute limit, but we can extend. I would need a motion to extend
I move to extend
by
maximum amount, which I believe is
5
2
minutes. Yes. Okay, is there a second? Thank you, Jose Castanon. Thank you. If there is no discussion or no objections, we can approve this by unanimous consent, the extension. I'm going to assume that Professor Endor and Wilbur, those are not objections. So an additional 5 minutes, Professor Walker. And Professor Wilbur.
I'd like to read this line out of the statement. Adheres to the highest ethical standards, follow the data-driven public health policies in a way that ensures the highest safety standards and appropriate consideration of the health and potential hardships. There's a lot of talk about data-driven. I will include a link to you, Dr. Lopez, that I would ask that you share with the rest of the Senate if you see fit to do so. This is LA County's COVID portal with all of the data available for anybody that cares to look into it. This is a nuclear option and people keep asking for data. It was in the public comments section at the beginning of the meeting this afternoon. Data support, the data is there, and the data support that administration made the right choice. I would point out that in that data, if you guys would care to look through it, that in terms of hospitalizations on the 21st, which is admittedly the Friday before we came back to school, the spike of about 4,750 cases per day, but that was the spike on the 21st. Since then, we're now, according to
I'm sorry, point of order, please. Can I ask what this is pertaining? Is this a question? This is a first read. I asked about language changes. Is this germane?
You ask for data. I'm giving you data. Data is here in this note.
I'm sorry, I did not ask. I did not ask.
Under 1,000 cases a day.
And point of order. Here's what we're going to do. Do you have a question, or would you like some language change, Professor Wilbur, to this document?
You want data support? There's data support.
Okay. If there's nothing else, I'll move on to Professor Endor.
I was wondering, Sheila seemed to indicate that there were some steps to go through, and since I don't know anything about this, and what are they? What are the steps that were skipped?
That is a question for Sheila Rose or to Dr. Bernardo?
Sheila Rose. Is that okay? Am I out of order asking her?
Actually, you are. You would ask Dr.
I'm
Bernardo.
often out of order. Okay.
Okay, that's okay. Okay, did you want to ask Dr. Bernardo something?
You mean other than ask Dr. Bernardo to ask Sheila Rose for me? No, I don't know how to get that information.
Okay, are there any other questions for Dr. Bernardo? Please keep in mind that this is a first read. Seeing no questions, no comment. Oops, Professor Wilbur.
Well, I don't know if this is appropriate because Dr. Bernardo brought it up herself that there have been polls that have been levied on campus that have brought this to people's attention. If there are polls that this is in support of, I would also point out that these polls have been anonymous. If people are asking for an administrator's head, I would ask that they not be anonymous polls. I think that the accused has the right to see the faces and names of their the accusers. The accused has the right to see the names and faces of their accusers. The fact that this is being done subversively and behind closed doors is pusillanimous. People should stand up and be counted. If they want their voices and their faces known, they should, have a say in this. To hide behind anonymity is not appropriate when you're asking for somebody's job, and that's what this is about right here.
So
I would go
excuse
ahead
me.
So what I hear you asking her is that you want the data to be made public and with the names.
I want it to be data driven and non-anonymous, and it should be put in that, and I'll still vote against it. But this is by way of bringing up discussion in order to talk about a nuclear option of asking for somebody's head.
I would like to point out that that is not germane because the vote of no confidence is now before the academic senate, and it is within the academic senate purview to consider and decide whether they want to vote or not vote. Whatever comes behind this is not germane because that is discussion that should be, if you want to amend something, that's fine, but you are trying to base this on polls that have already happened. You're not discussing what's actually in the document or that people have decided to bring this up as a resolution.
I want to be clear that there is no motion on the floor. Their vote is not to be taking place right now. This is a first read of the document. And that is time. We need a motion for an extension. We have one last extension. Is there a motion? Professor Wilbur, I see your hand as a motion to extend for 5 minutes. 5 minutes, Professor Wilbur? Yes, okay, is there a second? I see Jose Castanon, thank you, sir. If there are no objections, we can approve this by unanimous consent. Seeing no objections, you have an additional 5 minutes, Dr. Bernardo. And Dr. Francoso, you have your hand up.
Yeah, just clarification. I mean, and I know you mentioned that we're not talking about voting yet, but I think if it did come to a vote, which I hope it does in the academic senate, would our votes be known or would our votes be anonymous, right? Or do we take this to the faculty-wide vote across campus? And if that's the case, like, I think it's important that the most vulnerable, if we're taking an equitable lens, have the most protection, right? So I firmly believe that it should be anonymous. And then just the last comment about it doesn't matter, I'm gonna vote against it. Like, I thought we were supposed to be representing of our divisions, right? And going back to our divisions and seeing what our divisions want us to do. And we're supposed to be representative of that and not voting our own conscience. So I just kind of wanted to throw that out there. Thank you.
Okay, that was, there's
sorry,
something,
can I
just a
respond?
moment. I want to keep, just give me just a moment. What I want to say to that, Professor Francoso, is you are right. You are to represent your divisions. That's why a vote would be inappropriate today, because you have not gone back to the divisions and talked to them about the resolutions officially. So with that being said, I'm going to move on to Dr. Bernardo, you wanted to respond as well?
I just wanted to say that when there was a previous vote of no confidence held in 2013, it was not anonymous. These votes as well in the academic senate in terms of a vote of no confidence is known, and I think that it might be prohibited by the Brown Act to conduct secret ballot for this in any case.
Thank you. Professor Johansson.
Yes, so I was wondering, like, for the 10+1 stuff, we don't necessarily get to decide mid-semester if we want to switch to online or not. That would be working condition. I guess I'm not entirely certain, like, which things fall under working condition versus our control over curriculum. Because like when I request my classes for next fall, I request like how many I want online versus in person, but then the college and the dean decide like how many to approve. So I'm not sure that switching to remote mid-semester necessarily falls under 10+1, but I'm not really sure about that.
So if you would, if you're trying to figure out if that is, I guess that would be number one, reason number one, then you can definitely suggest language change, or whether you think that it might be appropriate to remove that particular one, but then the other ones would still apply.
Okay, Dr. Foster. And you're muted, by the way.
Yeah, sorry, I'm on an iPad, so I tried to find the buttons. So if I personally think this is a working condition, but if we did decide as an academic senate to vote on it, I would make 2 recommendations for this document. One, I would put some sort of resolve statement in that actually makes a recommendation about what should happen when we have another surge. I think just raking someone through the coals for dealing incorrectly or, you know, unpopularly with a very difficult situation is not effective. I think that, you know, based on the last 3 surges that we've had, there should be numbers that could be put in there that we expect X, Y, and Z if numbers are X, Y, and Z.
Can I respond to that, or are you not?
Can I just finish?
Let her, she can finish and then you can respond.
Or I would strike on the second page, the first whereas, where it says at the time of the Omicron variant spike, that refers to data, but in a very vague way. So I haven't looked at the data that Professor Wilbur is referring to, but if he is indeed correct that the spike happened before the 24th, that statement is incorrect.
So in response to the first statement, the problem with including a resolved that sort of hems in what the academic senate would be recommending happen if we were to have another surge, that falls under consult collegially. That falls under communication between the superintendent president and the academic senate or the entire, you know, PCC community. It also means that the board of trustees has to consult collegially as well. And so we understand, because we were there, that this did not happen. And that's one of the reasons that this is being brought up right now.
I think there are a lot of different opinions, and it should be, if you're saying it should be data driven, then we can predict the danger that is associated with the surge based on the number of hospitalizations and deaths. That is the most objective way to deal with a situation like this, because otherwise we're going to be in this rat race multiple times in the future. Everyone's going to have different opinions. Consulting collegially is going to take weeks, if not months, and it's just not a good space for anyone to be in. So I disagree that you cannot put a more objective resolve in there. And
I'm gonna step in here. We are actually out of time on this agenda item. And I'm sorry, there are no more room for extension. So Professor Wilbur, sorry again. Again, this is a first read. I would encourage, if you have additional comments, or if you want to help Dr. Bernardo with different language, that you email her. And then this can be brought back to the Senate for a second read and possible action. Okay, so moving on. Thank you all for that. I'm going to ask for the sake of time, because we are over our time. I'm going to ask for the sake of time that at our next item, academics and its subcommittees, that we approve all 3 of these appointments as one unit, but I would need a motion for that. A motion to approve. We can do them separately.
Dr. Lopez, don't we need to vote on one of those items because there's more people than spaces on the committee?
No, not for the subcommittee.
Okay.
That is for the hiring committee.
Okay, then I make the motion to accept them all as one item.
Thank you. Do I have a second? That was Sheila Rose, by the way, for the record. Second, Professor Indoor. Okay, if there are no objections, we can approve all 3 of these by unanimous consent. I see no objections, so all 3 of these members are approved by unanimous consent and will be informed by Dr. Jaramillo. Okay, and I will turn the hiring committee over to vote over to Dr. Jaramillo.
Hi, everyone. I'm going to, I think we've all been through this before. We're going to be using SurveyMonkey to do our vote. Remember, you're ranking from 1 through 5. The lowest rank is the highest, saying that you really want that person to be on this committee. So I am going to share, hopefully, oh, I can't share the SurveyMonkey. Let's see. What can I do? I'm going to share my PowerPoint that had it on there, and maybe you guys can just type it in because I'm not able to share on the chat right now. Oh, okay, that would work too. So we're opening the chat so I can share it. And please, only senators do your ranking. Was everyone able to get the link? Okay.
Yes, Professor Indoor. You're muted.
Are we supposed to check on this in the chat? If I click on something in the chat, the meeting disappears off my screen and won't come back.
You should be able to click on it and then see the SurveyMonkey and use it.
I know. Should.
So currently I see 9 votes have been made. Oh, 15. How many do we have? $18.
I can't vote.
Are you unable to open the SurveyMonkey?
I can't vote.
So we're at 21. Okay, so we currently have 22 votes. So I will give one more minute. Okay, it seems like 22 is the number of votes that we've gotten. So I will share the screen with the results. Okay. So here are the votes, and the mean is basically giving the weighted average for the positions. So the lowest numbers are the ones that are chosen. And so Anthony Francoso and Ricardo Castillo. And I will just show you the graph. What was that? We're voting for 2. Yes, we have 2 representatives. I'm just redoing it to make sure nothing's changed. Okay, so Anthony Francoso is 2.23, and then for mean, and then Ricardo Castillo is 3.00. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. Okay, moving forward in the agenda, are there any proposed future agenda items? Other than what we've already talked about? Okay, Professor Constantine.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I'm back again. You know, I always have an agenda item to add. So I'd like to discuss increasing adjunct faculty academic senate representation.
Professor Bernardo.
Thank you.
Yes, hi. I would like to give notice that at the next meeting of the Academic Senate, I will move to rescind the adoption of the motion to discontinue the graphics program. So that I think that would be, I guess, a motion item for next time.
I'm going to check with our parliamentarian to make sure that that's in order, and I'll get back to you for sure. Okay, anything else? Okay, are there any announcements? Seeing no announcements, is there a motion to adjourn? Jeff Hupp and Talene Seropian, that's your second, correct? If there is no, if there are no objections, we can approve adjournment by unanimous consent. Seeing none, thank you all for staying 30 minutes over, 28 minutes over. I appreciate you. I appreciate the work you put in for the campus and for your divisions. You are appreciated. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you. Okay, I'm going to stop recording. Okay, wait. No, you just don't know how I was hoping somebody would nominate you from the floor. Talene for president.
Hell no, are you crazy?
Bye, everybody.
Bye.